Okay, it's about 3 or 4 hours later from when I first did the unboxing. I forgot to mention before that the truck comes with two nickel metal hydride 7-cell 3000 milliamp batteries. So you do need a charger that can handle nickel metal hydride batteries. I also would recommend you get one that can do LiPos as well, because LiPos are much better if you are willing to deal with some of their idiosyncrasies, I guess. So those are all charged up and ready for the initial motor burn-in. So what we'll do first is I'll pop the batteries in. So the batteries go inside of the chassis on either side. So the other side has already got the battery in it. And I'll put this one in, get it ready. So you just pop it in. There's adjustable slides and everything. You just want to tuck the wires up. So that's pretty much ready to go. You plug in your speed control to either side. One second. Oh, it's difficult to do this one-handed. Alright, so batteries are plugged in. Now before we do any powering on, I just want to go through what I've done so far. So before I've done anything to the truck, just based on reading on forums, people said that it likes to sag on the rear end a lot. So what I've done was I've just added some preload to these rear springs. It's very dark, you can't really tell, but there are collars here that you can adjust by your thumbs or your fingers. They were very hard to adjust, actually. You just kind of really got to get in there with your thumbs and turn them. So I've turned them in about 3 or 4 turns just to give the springs a bit more preload. That's going to raise up the ride height a bit more. One thing to be careful of is, and something I didn't mention, is that this truck comes with LED lights. So it comes with LED tail lights and LED headlights. There is an LED wire that's running right between these two shocks. You can see it right here. So just be careful that it doesn't get caught or pinched anywhere. I did already push it down once and now it's popped up back again, so I may look at some way to kind of tuck that in out of the way, just because I'm afraid it is going to get caught somewhere. So I added some preload to the shocks. As you can see, now the truck is sitting up much higher than it was originally out of the box. I mean, we're up quite a bit, right? We're up to the 5 inches or so. Now, motor break-in. So we're going to do a motor break-in. Just because, since this is a brand new truck, and I would like the stock motor to last a while. See if I can show you in here, but there's the armature. Can't really get a shot of the brushes. Anyway, the brushes are brand new, not seated. They're almost like a corrugated W. So what we want to do is we want to run the motor at a slow, constant speed setting to allow the brushes to wear in and make a better contact with the armature. That's going to give you more power, more torque, and the motor is going to perform better and last longer over the long term. These motors are non-serviceable, so once they die, then you just replace them. They're only $30 from Traxxas, but when this motor does go, the best thing to do is to install a DeWalt big power drill DeWalt motor, 14.4 volts. People are getting the best performance out of those. Apparently they're just great. So that'll be, on the wish list for later on. Now, to do the motor break-in in the house without ever running it, what I've done so far is I've just removed the screw for the gear cover. So there's the gear cover off. There's the spur gear and the pinion. Something that I recommend doing is adjust the slipper clutch. I am going to do that before I ever go run outside. So right now, this is the way it was from the factory. It looks like it already has some load on it, but when I flipped through the manual, it did say that they recommend that you torque it all the way down so that the spring is fully compressed, and then back it off a quarter to a half a turn. So I'm going to do that. I like to run my slipper clutches tight. These are the friction pads on the slipper you can see here. So you want to make sure that it's not too loose, it's not going to slip. If it slips too much, then you get too much heat. It'll warp your spur. It'll cause your gear to wear out faster and wear all of these pads out soon. So I'm going to run a tight slipper. That'll also probably maybe allow me to do wheelies stock. I don't know. Maybe not, but we'll see. So the other thing I've done is I've loosened off this motor adjustment plate. This is how you adjust your gear mesh. So right now the motor is loose. So my thought was, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the motor off the gear, tighten this down, and then I'm going to let it run all by itself without touching anything. No load will be on it, and it should be good. So I'm just going to tighten this down just by finger. Actually, you know what? I am going to use a tool, because that would be bad if it loosens off and touches the gear while it's spinning. Okay, so that's ready to go, clear, nothing's going to touch there. The motor should spin freely, it's not touching anything. The other thing I've done is, because I'm going to do this stationary, I just set up a little fan to blow cold air over the motor in the ESC. There's a little bit of a breeze, just because when you drive these trucks, you're supposed to, I mean, everything's air cooled, right? So you want to have at least some airflow over the heat sinks of the speed control in the motor. So we are pretty much ready for very first power on. So motor leads are plugged in, transmitter is now on, and we will power this down, hold this down for a second, and we are on. So this will be your first view. There's the LED front lights, and there's the LED tail lights. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so now I just want to, servos are working. That's good. I've got the transmitter on low gear, I think it's low gear, and I'm just going to let that motor spin, like, just for a little while, let it all burn in. So I'm going to actually rig a plate and a elastic band, and I'm just going to hold this here, and I'm going to run through this whole pack of batteries, and I'm just going to let it go until it dies, and that's going to nicely seat those new brushes to the armature. And that should, give this battery a pretty good life. Or, sorry, this motor. I don't know why I keep saying battery. Right. So, I'm going to do that. And then, tomorrow we'll be ready to take it outside. I'll just remember to adjust the slipper. I'll set my gear mesh again, put all the covers back on, and it's ready to go. Oh, actually, it won't be. Once I break in the brushes, then I wish you could have been able to see the brushes. There's going to be a significant amount of metal that has worn off of the brushes. So you want to try and flush that out. So I'm either going to, hold the truck upside down and spray contract cleaner, or I think I might even have some old brushed motor cleaner. Spray it in the motor, flush all the crap out, let it dry, and then you want to lube the bearings. Sorry, they're not even bearings in this motor, they're bushings. So you want to just add some oil to the rear bushing and maybe drop, some oil in the front. Then it's ready to rock. Alright, thanks guys. We'll get a running video of it out tomorrow.